Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media on all of our channels and networks. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Mike Morales here in the heartbeat of the San Gabriel Valley in Southern California. That guy out there is
Rick Levy at the ass end of the San Pasqual Valley, also in Southern California.
Rick, show everybody your t-shirt. Just look at that. That's right. Anybody who's as old as I am, maybe as old as Rick, remembers those two guys. They were the Hispanic version, I think, the Hispanic answer to the Lone Ranger and Tonto, because they had their own TV show. They did. We're going to dissect and taste Poncho and Cisco Tequila. I don't know if you can see that on my camera, but it looks better on Rick's camera. Poncho and Cisco Tequila.
My
Who are Poncho and
settings
Cisco?
are
Well, you're going to have to look at the Cisco. Remember the song "The Cisco Kid" from by War? The Cisco Kid. That was part of a part of the lore. Okay, and it was a TV show at one point. So, but that was a long time. I don't even know how many. I don't even know. First of all, I don't even know if they had actual Latinos playing those roles. Because at the time, you know, the only two Latinos that were in television or movies at that time were Fernando Lamas and Ricardo Montalban. And I like mentioning them because I like to say the names, you know. But anyway, Poncho and Cisco has been around. I've actually been chasing this since the pandemic, since 2020. Finally got their juice. Finally, and it turns out it's got some decent pedigree. But before we tell you the pedigree, I think we should just pour this juice and see what we get. See if it has any correlation to the previous juice that we had from this master distiller. Okay, so I broke the seal off camera, but it doesn't mean it's going to come off for me here. Ooh. Oh, that smells even better off the cork. It's a bit. We're sniffing the cork, sniffing the bottleneck. In case for those of you watching listening to us on the podcast, I'm using a Tazo Jarrito for tequila.
As am I.
Okay, so here we go. We're gonna pour some in our. I'm gonna try not to get it on my computer. Wow, that was close. Okay, so let's put a plug on this sucker. Oh, you poured yourself some more than I did, actually. I was afraid I was going to spill some on my laptop. I can't afford to do that right now, folks, because we have no budget.
I've lost a laptop that way.
Yeah, it's not spilling alcohol on your keyboard is not always safe. Sometimes it's better to just spill coffee on it. I don't know why. So how's it look to you? I got some really decent legs and tears. Wow.
Yeah, it is really coating the glass.
Yeah, geez.
It's modeling the glass.
And it's I know I've got my ring light directly on it, but it's pretty shiny. You could probably see it better on Rick's camera, but I think Rick's got some beautiful legs and tears going. There you go. Yeah. And they're taking their own sweet time too.
It really is. I was trying to decide whether or not it was like slowly sheeting or if the legs and tears were just taking their time, like you said.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could see it. They're really thick.
And that's, again, folks, that's a good sign that again, and not a sign of quality. We won't know till we taste it, but it'll give you a really good idea of what the structure and the body will taste like, the mouth feel as we call it.
Right.
I'm impressed so far. And
just like if it's coming up really thick like that, it could either be distilled very close to proof, or you know, they could have thrown in oh shoot, the word is
Glycerin,
escaping me now.
a little
Glycerin, yeah,
glycerin.
they could have thrown in glycerin afterwards, but
Well, but
that doesn't happen as much anymore, I don't think.
no, and knowing what we know about the distillery, it's probably not something
Right.
that's done anyway.
Yeah,
And we'll give you
they're
those, we'll
unlikely
give you
to
the
do that.
stats and stories because I'm sure a lot of folks have probably never heard of this tequila. Even though I've been chasing it since 2020, and you can find them on Instagram. So those of you who are on Instagram and on social media, you can find them there. Now I was getting more aroma off the neck and off the cork than I'm getting right now. Does it sound
Right.
is it muted for you right now, or is it not opened up?
It is. Yeah, it's not jumping out of the glass.
I do get at the bottom though. I get a lot of lemon zest. I'm getting like
Right.
citrus.
It's very bright.
Yeah, but it is taking, again, like the legs and tears, it's taking its sweet time to bloom, to open up.
Mhm.
Blooming as we call all the aromas. I've learned this from the wine people that I've hung out with. All the aromas together are known as a bouquet. Okay. When we dissect each aroma, we'll tell you what that is, what constitutes the bouquet. But the bouquet, the nose needs to bloom in order for us to get anything. And right now it's kind of just muted. And so the primary, the strongest aroma that you'll get right now before it blooms all together is the citrus.
Yeah.
And again, not a bad thing because
Agreed.
this distillery comes out of Amatitan, our favorite region. So, and
It's a real favorite.
I was just there having a cantarito in what was it, June or July?
And I believe they are using the volcanic deep well water in the
Yes.
production of this. So we really like the minerality that gets imparted.
Well, I like that punch. I don't,
Yeah.
it's just there's something special about that valley, you know. Probably for me more so than the Highlands. The Highlands is really aromatic and just, well, it's a whole other animal. Depending on
Yeah.
what city in that golden triangle you're getting your plants from.
And so because of we know that the distillery, they're agaveros, then these would be lowlands agaves, right?
Well, I think, yeah, they're lowlands. I consider them, for me, I think I've said this before lots of times, like lowlands for me is anything near tequila, but Matitan, I would consider the valley, and most people lump in the tequila valley or lowlands together with a valley. But I think that Amatitan really deserves its own little region, its own little terroir, because as you move further in the other direction toward the Golden Triangle, toward the Highlands, those agaves are completely different.
Yeah.
And the water source is different as well.
Right.
So Amatitan is like almost right in the shadow of the volcano. So it figures that you're going to get a lot more mineral punch in not just the plant and the soil, but the water as well.
Right.
You don't see near tequila, you don't see very much of that red soil like you do up in the Highlands or even starting from Amatitan over. It's more brown and earthy. For me now, is it opening up for you now? I'm finally getting something out of the aromas.
What are you getting?
They're sweeter. They're more like herbal, more herbal for me, kind of like well, I hesitate to go there, but sage, maybe some
Maybe a touch.
rosemary, maybe rosemary, a touch. Now I'll have to check, but I'm almost sure that I'm very sure that this has also been rested in a barrel for a lunar cycle.
Half a lunar cycle.
Half a lunar cycle.
So it is a bit of a suave.
Right. Technically, it is, like you said, a Blanco Suave.
Yeah.
And when we show you what the pedigree is for this tequila, you'll understand if you've been following us and you're a big fan or a nerd of these tequilas. You want to jump in? You know,
Yeah,
maybe let's try it, because I think it might open up once we take a few. Mm, 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 mm. Wow.
yeah. It's really dialed in on that amatitan sensation that we
Yep.
love.
Yep.
Yeah, it really warms up the palate.
Oh,
The minerality and the pepper, they're playing against each other. The it has this great mouthfeel, this great
yes.
texture to it.
Yes, yes.
The citrus is not as strong as it was on the nose.
Yeah. It gets lost once the minerality takes over. It overtakes the citrus. And that's okay. I loved it on the nose. That was nice to be able to get that
Yeah.
right off right off the bat, because I wasn't getting anything.
But it's in terms of the flavor notes, like, the texture, the effect, the structure of it is fantastic. The flavor notes, I don't know, they're not really jumping out. Um, they are um, they are cooking their agaves in a high pressure autoclave.
Okay.
So it's a fast cook. Um, so it's going to be more of a uniform cook as well. And they're distilling open air, I believe, with natural yeasts.
Oh, you mean
But
fermenting? Fermenting.
fermenting, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
fermenting with natural yeasts in stainless vats. Um, so I'm wondering, it's possible to get a lot of complexity when, you have sort of this slow masonry oven cook.
Hmm.
But then you also get complexity when you have the open air fermentation with the natural yeasts.
Right.
So I don't know.
Well, I
I
mean,
just wonder,
they've tweaked it. They tweaked the recipe, and
yeah.
then
So it's very clean.
yes,
I would say the flavor profile isn't presenting, at least yet, as terribly complex, but the structure is wonderful.
well, I got the minerality and almost a slight bitterness on the rear and the sides of the tongue, and it finishes dry. You notice that it's rather
Right.
dry. It's got a good finish. It's got a medium to long warm fuzzy.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, it's funny because it comes across like not so aggressive, but it really does have I wouldn't say bold, but um it's got a very domineering presence. Once you've had two or three passes, it really starts to coat the palate, and I think that's because of the barrel.
Yeah.
They are resting it.
It does have kind of a creaminess to it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And part of that could be due to those 2 weeks in the barrel.
Well, remember I said I noticed that it was a bit of a sage or rosemary, and then once we got into it, it turned to mint. So that
Yeah, I was thinking, it's like, well, maybe not sage or rosemary, those are more earthy. Is it maybe more grassy? But I think mint pegs it
yeah,
because it's that brighter herbal.
yeah, 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 and yeah, so if you take your time with it, there's actually more complexity in it than on the surface. I mean, if you just take it to shoot it or mix it, you're never going to get any of this
Well,
stuff.
and I mean, just the physical experience is wonderful. It has this great mouthfeel. And like I said, there's this, it's got this wonderful play between the minerality and the pepper and with that.
I I'm thoroughly enjoying it. let's give everybody, let's go give them the stats and stories on the background of this. This brand is owned by a gentleman by the name of Joe Vogel, who was nice enough to send us I don't know why his patent drawing on the bottle, and apparently he got an award from some other from one contest that he entered. But let me just read you what they sent us, and then Rick is going to verify this with his original notes, because we'll show you what the pedigree is from this tequila. All right. First things first, let's give them the NOM number on that. 1522 is the NOM.
Hacienda de Oro.
Hacienda de Oro, for those of you who are big fans of anything like El Último Agave, which we had the updated version. Yeah, that's the old bottle.
That's their house brand. That's
the vintage bottle now, because they updated their whole the whole branding was updated and all that. But yeah, I love those bottles. I got a big 175 that I use as a planter out in the backyard.
Use as a swimming pool.
Oh, I loved it because you could go to like Vallarta here in town and buy the 175, and it would last me maybe a week.
Huge square bottle. You stop a door with it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But I love the branding on it on the old bottle. Now the new bottle looks completely different, and I think I did that tasting with you, as a matter of fact. Now, 1522's got several tequilas out of it, including Tres Agaves. Even though Tres Agaves has its own distillery now, which is run by Eliana Partida, who is the daughter of the gentleman who owns this distillery. Now, Poncho Y Cisco is crafted in small batches, distinguished by the Weber Blue Agave that was harvested to craft it. A deep well water filtered through volcanic rock, rested in American white oak whiskey barrels for half a lunar cycle. Okay. And it is produced at NOM 1522 by Jaime Villalobos Souza, Master Distiller. Show everybody the other tequila that you and I had by this gentleman. Anybody remember that one? Suave, lunar rested. We flipped. Rick and I flipped over this tequila because it is really technically, again, we consider this a Blanco Suave. It's not the first tequila from a Matitan to be rested that way. Herradura was the first one to be rested in that manner, and actually petitioned the CRT years and years ago to use Blanco Suave on their labeling to get that designation. So it's kind of a tradition for tequilas out of a Matitan to have their edges rounded off,
Yeah.
Even though the way you mentioned, Rick, their cooking process, that kind of tones things down, because many of the tequilas that come out of that distillery have been oven baked,
Right. They do have masonry ovens there.
Yeah, they do. I think El Último Agave is probably done that way, if I'm not mistaken, or it could even be a blend at this point. Blend of autoclave and oven maybe. But this one already would be softened, except for the fact that it's a Matitan and they're still using the water, because So that's the gentleman who is, and he is a. We did the math.
Yeah, we believe he's a fifth generation. Souza.
Right, he's a fifth generation Souza. His father, and I'm actually friended up with both of them on Facebook. We've communicated off and on for years, but his father is the fourth generation Souza, who is a cousin of Guillermo Erickson Souza. So and he is a maestro catador. This guy has got. He has the highest designation ever given by the CRT, and I think he is partnered up with the secondary school of catadores in Mexico.
And this is Jaime's father. You're talking
Jaime's father,
yeah. But Jaime's no slouch either.
Oh no! This is this. From what I understand, he is removed himself from Suave. I think he's no longer involved with that brand. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's still on the shelves everywhere, but I'm not sure what's up with the brand. I mean, I haven't heard anything.
Well, and he's helped to develop profiles for a number of brands, right?
I think so. I think he's doing a lot of like what Ana Maria does. You know,
Right.
they're a profiler for hire, and there are lots of engineers, ingenieros or catadores who do that. I mean, Ingeniero Solis and Gabriel Spindola, two of my favorites, who invented the Mozart method. That's what they do. They
Yeah.
create
Nice
profiles.
work if you can get
Yeah, I know, huh?
it.
So these guys are, both of these gentlemen are no slouches. And what do you think, Rick? Should we just go out there and on a limb and go brand of
Oh,
promise?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. This competes.
Oh, for sure.
It's and yeah, I just can't I can't say enough about the texture, the mouthfeel, and that effect, and the wonderful Amatitan minerality. Um and then it has the flavors on the palate. It has this creamy, almost like a touch of butter. It's picking that up, from
Yeah,
the
yeah.
light exposure to the barrel, and then with sort of the lemon, light citrus. It's very nice.
I would say, and again, after the finish is good. Yes, will it hold up on a cocktail? It would, but it's a little shy at the beginning. I will tell you, it's not one of those that you and I've had them. Probably from like Arandas and up in that area, where all of a sudden the nose just comes right up at you and says hi. And this one doesn't do that, surprisingly, because there are other tequilas from Matitan in that area that are really much more aggressive, and I like those.
Yeah.
But this
Yeah.
one doesn't. This one doesn't have that. This was really shy. It wants to get to know you. You want to get to know it. And, it's one of those. You're gonna miss it, folks, if you don't take your time with this juice.
The sex is good, but it's missionary position.
And we've only had one shot between the two of us. Holy cow. Welcome to X-rated tequila tasting. We got to have we need a wah-wah pedal and a guitar. Anyway, just bad. And you know what? The mint, I just poured myself a little bit more. Right here on the nose, I almost got a little anise. It almost turned to anise on me.
I could go with that.
But I'll stand by the mint though. Mint is it went from sage, rosemary, maybe. Once you ingested it, I got mint. But just now,
Well, and then the thing is too, like we've said in the past, it's like we just broke the seals on these, and then once the air hits the juice, this reaction starts happening throughout the bottle,
yeah,
and so it develops.
And the glass too. I mean, you really literally have to stir it. And I would say that the legs and tears, now I understand why the legs and tears took their time, very much like a decent reposado or añejo, that's been aged much longer than this one. This one is considered a
Right.
blanco, but we have a category for it called Blanco Suave, which does exist, and I think it's a very valid category.
Oh, absolutely. I love it.
It's one of those. It should be a category like a Cristalino should be a category, but it's not. Okay,
Yeah.
But then again, I've only had one Cristalino that I'm convinced about, and that was just recently on this trip to Tequila and Arandas. But as you and I have talked about, why don't they just stick and do Hovens? Nobody makes a Hoven. That's a legitimate, expression. And there are brands out there coming out with Cristalinos when you've got all the equipment to make a Hoven, a really good Hoven, and nobody's making them anymore. It's like
Yeah.
Sonoble is like the last one that I remember making them, and I don't know, man. And Trece Colonias, they had an excellent Hoven that you and I had. That was our last Hoven
Right.
together. So I just saying, folks, for those brands out there watching, just Hoven.
I'm really glad you mentioned the anise. You nailed that.
it's finally opening up. But I mean, it will take time. It's not something that's going to come right at you right away. And now, on the second and third pass, now the pepperiness and the the lip numbness is coming there. It's more prominent now. It's just this juice just keeps on giving. So great sipper, so I can say. But yeah, okay. So you're the cocktail guy. What would you do with this one? Yeah, I know you've got your go-to cocktails. But...
What would I do with this? I would, when I'm making a cocktail, I want the tequila to be able to come through. The pepper and the minerality in this could be used to excellent effect in a cocktail. But I wouldn't want to completely overwrite the flavor with my mixers. So I probably wouldn't want to use anything overpowering. I try to keep it to a light touch. I could see doing something like a tequila Ricky.
Okay.
A squeeze of citrus and some carbonated water, or
like a ranch water. Yeah.
A splash of tonic water or something like that would be very nice. Maybe lately I've been juicing the prickly pears in my backyard. So
it's that time of year for you, huh?
Yeah, I could throw a splash of prickly pear juice in there because it's very very vibrant color, but the prickly pear that I have doesn't have an overpowering flavor to it. So,
good. So it's not
like
super sweet
nice.
or anything like that.
No, it's not that kind of variety. But yeah, so that'd be my recommendation. Go light touch.
Okay, I'll buy that. Now, here's the kicker. I will read you what Mr. Vogel sent to us. He sent to me on an email, and he wrote me back. He says, I just returned from Tequila, where we chose a reposado that Jaime will craft for 750 bottles only. So it's very limited. The repo will rest for 5 months in old Kentucky whiskey barrels and 1 month in new wine barrels.
Kentucky
I like
whiskey.
that idea.
Does that mean bourbon?
I don't know. When it says old whiskey, could be, you want a more beat up barrel, but he's using new wine barrels. So the whiskey influence will be secondary to the wine influence.
Right.
And now you and I have had Juan de Leon, which is done in wine barrels. So we're very, very well aware of what a wine barrel can do to a tequila. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to seeing, maybe you're right. Maybe it would be bourbon, because I think the Tennessee whiskey would probably be overcome by the wine barrel, the once used wine barrel, versus the bourbon version of that whiskey would probably stand up a little bit more to what the wine is going to do to it. Yeah. We have no idea what
still they're finishing in wine barrels. I would expect that's going to be the primary predominant.
The predominant one. So I'm going to go back and as far as I'm concerned, brand of promise nominee in that Blanco Suave category. I don't know do we have a price point for this thing? I don't even know.
Oh, I don't. Maybe I can pull it up really quick.
Yeah.
Well, you were saying it was very difficult to find this anywhere, right?
Well, I think so. I have not, other than Instagram, I have not seen it on any shelves. Not that I've been to any place that would have it on the shelf. It has one award to its credit at this point from another magazine, but it's got promise. It really does, and I think it has more promise, and it's got a very deep pedigree to it from tequilas that and I love it that we've had that tequila before, so I know exactly where the mindset is of the master distiller when he designed this flavor profile,
right?
And you do. I mean, if you're going to become a fan of a Maestro Mezcalero, or a Maestro Tequilero, you want to follow what they've done before, because it gives you a good idea of what they're up to, and I really want to see what he's doing with the aged version of the Reposado, because I don't think that I've ever had a wine barrel rested tequila from Jaime. I don't think that that's something that he was experimenting with at the time he was doing Suave. Suave is the first and only one that I've ever had that he has had his hands on. So I'm anxious to find out how he's going to do with it. I really want to see what he does with his barrel management, and he's not going to lunar rest the Blanco first. He's just going to take it from the still, rest it in the bourbon barrels or whiskey barrels, and then go from there to wine. So we'll see.
Yeah.
1,750 bottles, and I want 2 of them. So 748 bottles. Later.
Yeah, that would be really interesting. I'd like to see what he does with that.
Well, because again, you and I have a big, we have some experience with what can happen, using wine barrels and the wine barrel management and how you do it properly. Because I have had one recently that was a prototype that I think was overdone in the wine. It overcame the agave. It turns out that's what this company is looking for. It wouldn't be my personal favorite, because I like agave in my tequila. But
if they've done their market research and that's the segment they're targeting, then hey,
more power to you, man. Because
right.
Hope they all sell on. I hope they all fly off the shelf. So, do we have any pricing on this one at all?
I'm not able to find any pricing. Zach doesn't have it at Old Town.
Yeah,
I'm not getting any quick hits on Google. So,
you saw it here first, folks, or you heard it on the podcast. We're the first ones to actually have this, other than that other nondescript magazine that gave him an award, but that doesn't count. Anyway, I mean, it counts for him, obviously, because it's a medal that he earned. But I'm really surprised and jazzed and very, very thankful that we were able to touch on this, because we had some experience with the previous brand. Other than that, that's what we got. That I got nothing else to say. But that's our take on Poncho y Cisco. If you remember Poncho y Cisco, leave us a comment on the down below on our YouTube channel, or send us an email. What the hell? Do you remember Poncho y Cisco, the Cisco Kid? Remember the song? Okay. Yeah, there you go. See, and this is looking way different on my camera.
You're looking like cobalt blue, and it is much more of a turquoise.
It's not turquoise. Like it's more of a
Caribbean blue.
Yeah, it's more of an ocean blue, Caribbean blue. Like when you go snorkeling off Key West or something, or the Sea of Cortez.
There you go.
But I digress. But anyway, that's our take on Poncho y Cisco. I'm Mike Morales here in the San Gabriel Valley of Southern California. That guy out there is
Rick Levy, also in Southern California.
You've been watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media, all of our channels and networks. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, give us a like. If you like this, share it with your friends, because I'm telling you, if you're a big fan of the Amatitan area, you're going to love this tequila. And I can't wait to see what they come up with later on, too. That's going to be, I'm going to start begging for my bottles now, because it might take me another 2 years to find it. But anyway, and don't forget, folks, follow us on all of our social media. But whatever you do, tomar sabiamente.
Sip wisely.